Hopefully other people will join us.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I can hear myself on the stream, but maybe I'm just quiet.
You're just a little quieter than I would like, but yeah, my volume's all the way up. Bump you up a bit more,
Yeah,
but
that's weird.
I would be concerned
Yeah, no, I
whoever
don't.
else
I see that my
joins.
level is lower for some reason too.
Yeah,
Let
I
me
got I
see.
got you turned up pretty high on my end. My concern will be if someone else joins.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the input volume's all the way up in. Well, let me just crank it. See what happens.
All right, go ahead and say something then.
All right, I'm up to 150.
Okay, I'll turn you down on my side a little bit, and hopefully that works for whoever else joins.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna stay at
Okay,
125 and see. I think 150 sounded a little too clippy.
maybe.
So, the one thing I changed is I switched to Pipewire on
Hmm.
um, Linux Mint. So I
Okay,
wonder if that's doing it. Let me check
maybe.
also control. Oh,
I think we have a topic for next time, but that will depend on whether or not we can actually get the interview set up and done. I think we have a topic for the next time after that, which will be another interview.
I think that's okay.
That's fine.
Um,
It's good to have it
Mixes
planned
it up.
out.
Yeah, it mixes it up. Hmm. Yeah,
Shit, I
I'll
don't know
have to
what to
look
talk
up.
about then.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So I ain't been doing much. Just relaxing.
Yeah, about the same here, honestly. I had a bunch of pretty busy week with other stuff, so I just really haven't done much of anything else, honestly.
I want to clean up my garage some today. Maybe lift a weight or two.
See if letting it pick its own sensitivity. Hmm. I don't know.
Yeah. I know Moss said something about being on today, and then Bill just said he was going to be late.
Yeah.
And asked me to run the stream for him, so here I am.
Well, that's very nice of you. How did the stream go last night?
Good. We were wondering what happened to you.
The I don't know what was going on with Mumble. Like I was hearing like double and triplicate of people. Like it was I couldn't even hear what people were saying. I would leave and come back and it was like there was nothing I could do. Maybe it's this pipe wire thing. I really don't know.
Some of it
It
is
seemed
Mordency has an echo. Like when you talk and his microphone is on, yeah, it
yeah, why is
echoes.
that?
Because he uses his phone and there's something up with his settings.
Oh. Okay. Well, maybe that's what it was cuz it was just like I don't know. It was really off-putting and I couldn't hear what people were saying and I was just like, "Okay, for this." So, oh well. Not the end of the world.
Yeah, but I have done a lot of nothing. I mean, I took this apart a couple of times and put it back together and got it working again because my other one, the top's loose.
Oh, okay.
My other one, the back keeps popping off, so it's a sign I need to quit again.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that for a little while and I don't know. I just was like, what am I doing? But that was, I just sort of was on a little not self-destructive, but I was just sort of like I don't know, I was sort of missing doing things with friends and like having a social life and like I
I,
don't know.
I I've been a smoker since I was like 18, but it was cigarettes at first, and then I switched over to vaping over time, and that's been more than a decade now. And then I quit for 6 months, but I was having problems with my blood pressure bottoming out, and I didn't want to take the blood pressure medication. So the easiest thing to do is when my blood pressure starts getting low, start smoking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
uh,
think my biggest problem was it was hard to not just sit there and smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke
all
and
the time.
smoke.
And that's where I'm at right now. The problem I'm having right now. It's different when I go into the office, of course. But if I'm sitting at home, I mean, I'll see myself going through like battery after battery, just
Right.
cranking away on the stuff.
And
So
you're just like, didn't I just refill this thing? Like,
right.
yeah.
So
So, yeah, I never got into like box mods and all that kind of crazy stuff. I just sort of like had basic stuff and
I like
yeah.
having a bit more control, and if you do this right, it's a little bit cheaper. Like
Yeah.
I can get coils that last for months and months and months, and you can get coils pretty cheap. And then I make my own e-juice, and the 18650 batteries aren't that expensive. If I'm only
Mhm.
buying one of these every couple of years, then
Right.
it's, I mean, making my own e-juice, I make it about a gallon at a time, and that lasts 6 to 8 months, and it costs me $160,
Yeah,
which is a
that's a huge difference.
whole lot cheaper
Yeah.
than smoking, which my wife still smokes, and that's
Yeah.
basically if it's a pack a day, and if you're lucky to get $5 a pack, that's
Huh.
150 bucks a month.
That you're lucky too because I mean, last time I bought a pack of cigarettes, it was like $7 or something. I was just like,
Yeah,
holy cow.
yeah, you got to get the deals to get them at $5 a pack.
My grandpa quit. He this is the way he told the story. Uh, was he went to Atlantic City because they would go every now and then, and so he went to buy a pack of cigarettes, and it was over $1, and so that gives you some reference of time period. But
Mm-hmm.
he was like, "That was it. I knew it was too much. I'm not gonna pay someone to kill me, and da 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 this whole thing." But like, that $1 was too much for him, and I laugh because it's like, yeah, we're well beyond that now. And you know, what? So much of it is taxes and lawyer
Absolutely.
fees and all the rest of it. So
Well,
I don't know.
how I quit for 6 months. I quit for 6 months. Was I told myself I'm a non-smoker, and I
Mm-hmm.
did that one day at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I said I'm gonna go to sleep, and then when I get up, I'm a non-smoker, and I just stopped. It sucked for about 2 weeks, and then things kind of leveled out. And I shouldn't have picked it up again.
Yeah, I always felt that way too with anything I did like that, where it was like, I was this close to just being done with it, and smoking actually wasn't that hard, believe it or not. I don't know why. I was able to quit when I wanted to quit. Um, I had one pack that I just bought, and so I forget what the you know what made me want to quit, but I think I was just someone had said to me, I was working, and doing a lot of stuff in sales and working with like around customers and stuff like that. And I remember someone making some sort of comment about how bad I smelled from cigarettes, and it was just kind of like, and I thought, yeah, I probably do, smell, and if you're a non-smoker, it's kind of a turn off. So I think it was just sort of like, okay, I
Well,
think I'm done with this.
when I was a smoker, I'd end up with like tobacco stains on my lip, tobacco stains on my
Yeah.
fingers, and it's just I got tired of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the cost and the just the yeah, it just got to be a whole thing. And yeah, I had like a pack left when I decided. I finished that pack, and then that was it. I was done. And my wife was still smoking at the time, and it was just like it's
That
hard
makes it
when
more
someone
difficult, yeah,
very very difficult. Yeah.
because my wife
So
still smokes. So when I quit, she'll sit right next to me and she'll be, and
and
it's like,
but at the same time, it's hard to say. Well, you're a bad influence, or because they're an adult and they make their own choices, and I can't tell
but
her
I'm
what to
not
do.
gonna blame her because I have cravings because she's smoking. I blame
Right. Right.
me for smoking for 20 plus years.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I hit um, just under 15 for me. So I started when I was probably 15, and then I quit at like 28 or something like that. And yeah. Anyway, the only time I ever craved smoking is if I was drinking. Because somewhere, or a cup of coffee in the morning. Those were like the two things. There was something about that like flavor of coffee that made me want a cigarette, or that flavor of alcohol that made me want a cigarette. And there were times where I'd go out with friends who did smoke, and I'd have one or two in that context, and then just be done with it. And then get up the next day and be like, smell it on my clothes, or like, ugh. And that's the thing. Like, there's nothing worse than a reformed smoker, because like once you get over it, and then you're around it, like now I can't even stand it. It's just like I can't even imagine like how did I do that, But that's being outside of it, you know, and so I don't know. I don't judge people. I grew up in an area where literally 80% of the population smoked. It was southwestern Pennsylvania, a coal mining town. Like if you didn't smoke, you probably chewed or dipped, or what, pick your tobacco of choice. And
Yeah, I went
so,
from, farm country Iowa where everybody smoked and
mhm,
drank to being in the military where everybody
everybody
smoked and
smoked and drank.
drank.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Well, I don't know. I think that you can't live a life with no vices. It's a little too. I don't know. You got to have something. Like my thing is still food, that I eat food that I know I shouldn't eat. I mean, what am I gonna do? Like the proverbial bus could hit me tomorrow, and I'm gonna live my life like I.
You gotta find some way to enjoy things. I mean, what's the
Yeah,
point of living for a lot longer period of time if life sucks?
that is true. That is absolutely true.
So yeah, I do take, fitness at least somewhat seriously. Not as
Yeah,
seriously as I could, but I do the things that I do because I enjoy lifting heavy things. I like cooking, so I just mix that with,
yeah,
eating a little bit healthier, and it
right.
works out.
And that's the thing. I had a cousin. I love this. He was mama's boy. Never, I mean, literally couldn't cook for himself. You know, the most simple things. Couldn't follow recipes or instructions. And he came to my house a couple times and was just so impressed by the food that we made, and real simple stuff like southwestern stuff like pico de gallo and guacamole and just like, but fresh, and fresh is always good. Fresh has a nice strong flavor and taste. And so he was just always, oh, this is so good. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to show you how to do this. He's like, oh, I can't do that. I don't. And so I made a trip for his birthday one year, and he was probably late 20s, something like that. And we went to the grocery store, and there's no cilantro in southwestern Pennsylvania. We had to go to like a health food store to find cilantro.
For
And
cilantro?
yeah, I'm telling you, so Pittsburgh is a very insulated place. There's very little infiltration. I mean, Pittsburgh proper now is different than when I grew up. There's a lot of high tech and like higher learning stuff there now that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, there's a lot of influences that didn't exist. And once you go out of the city, you're back in like the 50s coal mining town era, I didn't have Chinese food until I left home, you know. So, anyway, so we got all this stuff, and I made him help me do it, and then he starts sending me pictures of stuff that he's making, and then we bought him a knife block, and because he had shitty knives, and there's nothing worse than a shitty knife. I can't stand it, and so I made I made like all that stuff with this terrible little like paring knife. I'm like, no, that's it. We're getting you knives. And now today he's like Mr. Gourmet. He's got smokers and flat tops, and like he every other day he's sending me a picture of some meal that he's making. And but I just love that I converted him to,
Well,
he ate out constantly. I said, how much money do you spend in a month's time eating food out? I said, just add it up for me one month and tell me. And he was like, yeah, it was like $600. I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's a car payment, dude. You know?
yeah. Well, I like to keep my cooking simple. Like, I will make quesadillas. I will make my own like high protein pizza. I make my own burritos. I make my own French toast. It's really simple, but yeah, nothing really excessive. Fish and chips. I mean, 15 minutes in the air fryer and it's good to go. Throw some spice on it before you start. Maybe a little bit of panko if you really want. I
Yeah.
actually have some of the like red hot air fryer stuff that you can buy and just spread over the fish, and
Oh, neat.
put that on the fries too, and it's really good. And 15 minutes, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and I'm ready to eat.
Hmm. Yeah. It really is not as hard. I mean, it's the time, right? I get that people have a hard time sometimes finding time to do it right. But like my wife made homemade pizza last night, and I helped her do all the prep for. Uh, oh, nice, Frank's Red Hot Buffalo. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, you were saying?
Oh, just my wife made homemade pizza last night, and we did like a veggie pizza, and I'm like the sous chef. I do all the prep work, and then she's the head chef that puts it together. But um, it came out amazing. It was delicious, and and I thought, okay, well, we could have ordered pizza, and it would have probably cost us 30 or $40. And these ingredients we got for the pizza were probably less than 10 all told. And the time it took, and that's the thing, it did take like a good hour to cut it all up and get it all prepped and make the dough and all that stuff.
Well, for me, I
So.
usually don't do the dough. I sometimes buy the pre-made thin crusts that you can get from
Mm-hmm.
Walmart. But a lot of times I'll just be cooking for myself anyway. So I'll grab a tortilla and I'll do a stovetop, or I'll grab some lavash bread and I'll use the air fryer. And
Nice.
5 minutes to at like 300 to 350 to get the lavash crisp. You put your ingredients on, and then you put it back in there for another 5 to 10 minutes so that everything gets all nice and melty, and you're good to go. And a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll buy the pre-chopped peppers and onions, and they'll
Yeah.
be in the freezer. And then I'll take some of that out, and I'll before I put the ingredients on top, or during the time frame where the stove is heating up or the air fryer is heating up, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting in the thing for 5 to 10 minutes to get the lavash bread crisp. I will take those and I'll put them on the stove top and I'll fry them, and I love the smell of fried onions.
Oh.
Once they start caramelizing, I love
Mm-hmm.
that smell. So, I'll get all the extra moisture out that way. Maybe throw a little salt on top to help with the moisture extraction. And then I'll put them on when I put the ingredients on them. And then that's just all a matter of timing.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cooking is so much timing. It absolutely is. To be efficient at it. And also for me at least cleaning up after yourself as you go. Like I have to do that cuz my wife when she cooks, she's like a tornado. Like there's just shit everywhere.
Well, during that last part, when like the pizza is cooking right there at the end, and I've got like 5 or 10 minutes, that's the perfect time to put my ingredients away, wipe down the counter, and by the time it's ready, get my plate out so that when it comes
Right.
out of the air fryer, I got a place to put it, and
Yeah.
everything's
Right.
done by the time I'm done.
Yeah, and then when you're done, you literally are just walking out of the kitchen with your plate and everything else is clean. And
Yeah.
well, for the most part, I mean, there might be something in the sink or whatever, but
Of
like,
course, there's a pan that needs washed, or
yeah, right. But it's not everything else. So
right.
anyway, yeah, it is and I'm trying to instill that in my daughter to just kind of say, look, you know, don't be lazy, even if it's something simple. My wife had a coworker who was, bachelor, weightlifter, and all he ever ate was white rice and chicken breasts and broccoli.
And
Like he,
chicken, broccoli, and rice, the
yep,
stereotypical
yep,
bodybuilders,
that's it.
stupid, gross meal.
Yep, and it's all he ate for like literally years. And so he finally got married, and now he's put on a few pounds and he eats better, but he's still cut and looks good, but um yeah, but I used to say to him, like, don't you get bored? He's like, look, eating to me is just a chore. I don't think
Right.
about it as being pleasurable. I
Right.
just
It's
have to
just
put
fuel.
calories. Yeah, I have to put calories in my body. This is the easiest way for me to do it. I buy a big frozen bag of chicken breasts and a giant box of rice and a bag
Well,
of broccoli. And
me making my burritos probably takes me 45 minutes, but I'm making a week's worth there.
yeah,
Actually, I'm making 2 weeks worth there because it comes out to 10 to 12 servings.
okay.
So it takes me a little bit longer, but then the rest of the week, all I have to do is throw that in the microwave, toss it on a tortilla, and eat it.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
And it's
That's
delicious. And I can change the flavor by adding different hot
yeah.
sauces.
That's the thing. Finding something that just appeals to you no matter what. You're like, even on your worst day, you're like, yeah, I could still eat that. Because there are times where I don't know, especially with a lot of the medications and stuff I take, where it's like I'm really picky. I look at something, or my wife will say, "What do you want for dinner?" And it's just like nothing pops into my mind, and I have these fallback meals, and she gets so bored of them. But I'm like, what do you want me to say? Like that is when I think of food, like that's what sounds appealing to me. So um, yeah, I kind of get stuck on stuff, and I try to get myself like off a little bit, but
And I just like Mexican food. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
I will
yeah,
go to Chipotle and I will wreck a burrito bowl.
yeah. We have Tijuana Flats has always been.
Oh, Taco
I don't know.
Cabana. Oh,
Yeah, it's all regional and depending. That's what I used to love about traveling. I traveled all over the country all the time for my job for like a decade.
we have this one place like right up the street called Jalapenos. Sadly, it's closing at the end of the month this month, but Oh, the food there is so good.
I still have to say that some of the best ethnic Mexican and Hispanic food I've ever had was from trucks and like little mom and pop, you know, little griddle top and
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of gas stations around here that just got the little mom and pop shop in the back where
yep,
they're grilling up tacos, and it's like this is the greatest thing ever.
yeah. Well, that's one of the things I loved about going to Texas was that a lot of the gas stations just had taquerias, just like little, and there weren't name brand like Taco Bell garbage. It was just some mom and pop. I
Literally
remember,
says taqueria out front.
yep, yep. I was in, I went to Houston a lot and I went to, yeah, the big cities. So, and I would get to on the outskirts a little bit, and that's where you'd start finding like the really good neighborhoods with, good food and stuff. And I would seek it out. Like before I even went on my trip, I would start figuring out like, okay, what are the good places to eat, based on like local reviews and people who like know the food. And yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
Taco
kind of
Cabana is pretty generic, but at least you can be fairly certain that the food's not going to suck.
yeah. And honestly, that's all I really expect. I have a hard time dealing with going and paying good money for food that is mediocre at best. And they know it's mediocre and it's just like, well, I actually care. So,
It was a pretty big adjustment moving from El Paso to here because for some reason, like everything here has 10 times the amount of sugar, and the food is so sweet in comparison to what we've been used to for more than a decade. And it's just,
isn't that funny?
why?
Yeah. Yep. And that's what food, like Southern food in general, here in like Florida and South Georgia, like I don't understand why everything has to be sweet. Even the takeout Chinese food, like everything has sugar in it. I'm
Why?
like, this dish should not be sweet. Why is this sweet? And to the point where I've even asked, like, why is this sweet? And they're like, well, that's just what people expect. That's the palate or whatever.
That,
Um,
that is incorrect. They should expand their palate when you're going to eat something that isn't sweet or
well,
isn't
my
supposed to be sweet.
my grandparents have always done this thing where they put sugar on salad,
Oh,
and
disgusting.
it's well, it's supposedly to offset the acidity. That's what they've always, because I hated it when I was a kid. I'd be like, please don't put sugar on the salad. Oh no, well, everybody likes it that way. I'm like, no, you like it that way.
What's wrong with the acidity?
Right, that's kind of the point. But yeah, so that was, I think that's probably where I first saw that. But yeah, that southern thing, at least around here, everybody makes things sweet that they shouldn't. But that's even like barbecue sauce and stuff. I don't like sugary
What's the
barbecue
point of
sauce.
sweet barbecue sauce? There's no point in having sweet barbecue sauce.
Well, anything you buy in the grocery store is completely loaded with corn syrup and who knows what else.
Sugar. I always have to buy like the GQs, the stuff that has zero sugar in it. And it's
Yeah.
not necessarily because, well, I prefer not to have added sugar with things. It's that, they're actually not sweet the way barbecue sauce is not supposed to be sweet.
That's my take on it. I grew up. We had these summer cookouts that we would do as sort of a community.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have like literally hundreds of people there, and there was this one guy who made the sauce. Like he was the sauce guy. He had two varieties. One had sort of a little bit of a mustard kick to it, and one was just a straight tomato base with, and both of them had a decent amount of heat. So, first of all, barbecue sauce that doesn't have any heat is not really barbecue
It's
sauce.
sugar sauce.
Right. And then, and they, neither of them had any sweetness whatsoever. They were tangy, not sweet. And There might have been the slightest amount of sugar in there just as an ingredient, but you would never
Right.
even know it was there.
The thickening.
So, right, right. Um, I've spent my life trying to find sauce like that, and honest to goodness, I've never come across it. And the guy's name was Jojo, and like I've asked my dad for years, like, does this guy make sauce, or can you buy it? Or he's like, no, no,
Hmm.
he only did that for parties.
Yeah, and then you'll find out that he just, bought it at the store and then heated it up.
No, I don't think. I mean, who knows? But maybe he got the base and doctored it or something. But
Yeah,
that
that's the
wasn't
easy way
my
to do
sense.
it.
Um,
But like,
I don't know if anybody else is showing up, man.
it doesn't look like it, does it?
No, it's half past.
Yeah, I mean, Moss said he was coming today, or
Well,
was probably coming today.
Moss said in the chat earlier, he still has no working computer.
Oh,
So, um,
dude, stop by the house. I'll give you free.
well, I know uh,
Bill
Bill
was
had
gonna send him
said,
one.
yeah, I was just sending one, but I don't know. Hmm. And I don't know. I guess I thought Bill might join from the road, but maybe he got tied up.
Well, he said he was going to be running late, but would be on. I mean,
Yeah.
if we end up only doing a half-hour show today, we only end up doing a half-hour show today.
Yeah. Is tomorrow a recording day?
Tomorrow is not a recording day.
Yeah, I
Otherwise,
didn't
we
think
would
so.
be in the studio room right now instead of the public room.
Gotcha.
And it would have been a meeting to discuss what we're doing
Oh,
tomorrow. Huh?
Moss is still listening. He's in the general channel. He said, "Read your YouTube comments."
Read my YouTube comments. I'm trying to clean my garage, Moss.
That was at 3:05, so maybe he's not still listening. I don't know that
Well,
he's
I'd
in the
still be
chat
able
still.
to see the YouTube comments.
All he said was, "Hey, Eric and Joe, Moss still has no working computer in the studio."
Bard, Moss, hi, Eric and Joe. Moss still has no working computer in the studio. Hey, Moss. Okay. What about the computer you have hooked up to your TV?
When I start typing at Bard, it doesn't pop up, so I don't think he's in YouTube anymore.
No worries. Doesn't look like anybody's watching us anyway.
No, I think the two viewing are us.
Probably.
Oh well.
Well, I'm not viewing. I'm in the studio looking at things there.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
then
we
there
got
might be
one
someone
viewer.
else. Yeah.
Dragon Mojic.
Oh, okay.
He's
Hey,
watching.
Dragon. He's out there. Lurking. Oh, there he is. He says
Yep.
+1.
Yep. I see him.
Well, Dragon, sorry we're chatting about food today. I guess that was just the topic.
This is our show specifically to talk about whatever we want to talk about. I mean, we've done politics, we do food, we do whatever strikes our fancy. So if I want to bust
Today
out my
is
recipe book and talk about how to make homemade protein bars, I will.
right on.
Actually, I like homemade protein bars. I'm probably going to make some yogurt bars today.
What is your source of protein in your protein bars?
It depends on what kind I'm making. Usually protein powder, but if I'm doing the yogurt bars like I will be today, that'll be the yogurt and protein powder.
Gotcha.
So, and then I have a recipe that uses pumpkin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pumpkin is the base, and basically once you mix it up right, you don't taste any of the pumpkin. You taste everything else.
Yeah, I mean
Hey,
pumpkin
Cherry.
pumpkin only tastes like anything whenever it's full of like cinnamon and cloves and stuff.
Right. With that, you add a little bit of sweetener. You add some chocolate protein powder, and you add some chocolate chips, and you mix it all up real good, and it tastes
Gotcha.
great. You freeze it, you cut it up, it's awesome. And then there's another one that's much more involved that takes like fiber syrup.
Hmm.
So the fiber syrup is actually a little bit expensive, so I haven't done it in a while. And then you mix
Gotcha.
the fiber syrup, the protein powder, the peanut butter powder, some vanilla, and usually a skinny syrup of one kind or another, and um, mix that up real good. You got to heat it up a bit to make it happen. And then I usually also add in some creatine,
Hmm.
um, and then freeze it, cut it, eat it.
Does it stay relatively like solid when it's not frozen?
That depends. The pumpkin one will stay fairly solid. The yogurt one, absolutely not. That has to be frozen. And then the one made from the fiber syrup also needs to stay frozen.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because I've made stuff like that, and that's been the only challenge is if I take it with me, is it like goop whenever I go to
Yeah,
eat it?
the whole thing there is like if I take it out of the freezer, like if I'm gonna go on a drive or something, I'm taking it out of the freezer right as I'm getting into the car. So
Gotcha.
then I will eat it on the way to work.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely not something I can leave sitting around in my bag. Oh, and then there's another one that I usually let my daughter make because she likes to cook. She just hasn't had a lot of practice yet.
Gotcha.
So and that's like Greek yogurt and some protein powder and a little bit of cinnamon, and then we'll make um, a a glaze for it essentially using a little bit of coconut oil and some cocoa powder
Hmm.
and
Okay.
maybe some chocolate protein powder to thin it out a bit. And then that acts like shell for ice cream.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. 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 Like a
So
dip or something.
yeah, you pour that on top and it immediately hardens. So it's something you
Mm-hmm.
can do after the thing is made, and it just works out really well and
That
really
sounds good.
adds to the flavor.
Yeah. 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 I could imagine maybe even texture too if it
Hmm.
had like a little crunch to it. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's amazing what you can make if you just like deconstruct stuff and figure out like what the base elements are. And the problem for me has been once I figure out how to make something, I really have a hard time paying for it. Like if I go to a restaurant and I tend to make seafood better than most restaurants do, unless it's like a super fancy restaurant. And like I'm not going to pay someone for shrimp. Like I'm sorry, I'm just not because they never cook it right. You never get it when it's actually done right. Like very rarely do restaurants do seafood the way they should. And fish, same thing. Like um, yeah. So I'm I'm a hard sell when I go out to
Well, the
eat. It's
thing
got to be something.
for me when it comes to like the fish, I mean, most places buying the fish in a restaurant, I mean, considering how much fish costs in the store, it's about the same thing here anyway. But
Right.
and unless there's specific type of fish that you can buy where the cost is a little bit cheaper, and that's usually catfish nuggets and what's that, swai, SWAI,
Basa, swai.
swai,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like, but the catfish fillets are just insanely expensive. But
Yep.
the nuggets are not. So I'll buy the catfish nuggets and I'll cook those up. I mean, I will do stir fries with them. I will do fish and chips with them, and
Hmm.
it's delicious. So
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't think the presentation. I think that's when you like at a restaurant, nuggets are going to be something that are like fried or, but they the fillet just looks like a bigger, like a better, I don't know. But I do the same thing. There's certain cuts of meats and fish and stuff where it's like what's left after they butcher it into, the presentable piece or whatever. Um, yeah, I'm super cheap. There's this new market around us called Sunshine Market, and it's all the stuff I guess that suppliers can't sell
Mm.
because it's
Mm.
close to the expiration date, which is just silly because they've already proven and said time and time again that those expiration dates aren't based on anything
They're arbitrary as
factual.
hell. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and they're totally made up by the company who makes them. There's no real oversight or so. Anyway, that
Why does
they
salt have
sell
an expiration date?
right, because all that salt laying around in nature has probably gone
Right.
bad by now. No, so this Sunshine Market has just you can't count on it to have specific things because it's kind of like hodgepodge. Like what they have is what they
Whatever
have.
comes in, yeah.
Right. But like you can get really great stuff for next to nothing. And it's just simply because, you know, and I like that kind of stuff. I like Aldi is awesome. I actually end up liking Aldi stuff more than the expensive grocery stores. I don't know. We end up shopping at all the different places because there's this place has this and this place has that. And, you got to kind of hit all of them to get the different things.
Right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
for a while I was buying 98 and 2 ground turkey, which is like $6.45 a pound. And then, the recession that's not a recession, whatever, inflation, blah, blah, blah. And it's half the price for me to buy the 96 and 4, or is it 93 and 7 chicken, ground chicken, than
Mm-hmm.
it is the
Mm-hmm.
turkey. So I'm getting
Right.
ground chicken.
Yeah. And unless it's some specific recipe that says like it's got to be one or the other, then
You're not going to
what's the
notice the
difference?
difference. I mean, in my burritos with all the other
Yeah.
ingredients that are there, you're definitely not going to notice a difference in the meat flavor. The
Yeah.
only time you would notice is if I use ground beef instead, which probably would add a lot more flavor, but also a lot
Yeah.
more calories. So,
Yeah. My neighbors like to bring me food because when I was in the hospital and stuff, they would always just bring me stuff, and so they just kind of got in the habit. And so when they're making certain things that they know I love, so she made not burritos, enchiladas. She made
mm.
enchiladas the other day and had did the red sauce and like the whole 9 yards, and brought me a little plate of them. And then yesterday they brought me meatloaf. Like, they have stuff that they make, and their kids are all gone, and they're just sort of like, okay, we're gonna feed you now. Like,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, the other day, I took my premixed burrito and I like heated that up in a bowl, and then I put a serving of spinach over that, and then a serving
Mm,
of chicken and pico de gallo over to that.
nice,
And oh
nice.
my
Yeah.
God, it was so good. Just a burrito bowl, just a
Uh
homemade
huh.
burrito bowl.
Oh yeah, love it.
Just a little bit different than what I normally eat, and it was
Yep.
so
Yeah. Yeah, breads and stuff can be tough for me sometimes. So I got into the habit of liking bowls of anything, like bowls of Mexican or whatever, and salads and just stuff that you know that mixes well together in that format, and you get a good bite of like every little bit of it, and yeah, it's all about that like what is it, a good bite or whatever. But
good.
yeah.
But I have been craving fresh tomatoes, and I haven't gotten any yet.
Mm.
I need to get some fresh tomatoes
Well,
diced up.
yeah, fresh tomatoes, fresh cucumbers, fresh like garden type stuff from the summertime. That's what I remember. Yeah, thinking about being a kid. And last time I was home, I sat on my grandmother's porch, and the tomatoes and cucumbers were coming in, and I literally was just like making tomato and cucumber salad with a tiny bit of like dressing on it, and just
Oh, I spent some time on a farm when I was in foster care as a kid,
okay.
and we had our own garden next to the cornfield, right
Uh huh.
outside the cornfield. Oh man, we would just grow. onions and our own carrots and radishes. And oh my God, there's nothing like pulling a
Nothing.
radish fresh out of the ground, cleaning
Yep.
it off, and eating it right there.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. Tomatoes, same thing. I would just go in the garden and grab a tomato and eat it like an apple. Yeah, all that stuff.
super fresh
Yeah.
peppers.
Yes. Yeah. Peppers. All the cucumbers, beans, fresh peas. Yeah, we had my grandparents were depression babies, so they had victory gardens, and they had probably like a full acre of garden, and it was it was a
Uh,
lot. Like
the food is delicious, but that is so much work.
it is, but you know what? It was a family activity. My aunt was only 4 years older than I was, and so the two of us were like the kids for that era. And both of us participated. We weren't like whiny about it. We actually enjoyed helping and being around. And so we did everything together, cut grass
Mhm.
together, did the garden together, fixed buildings together, like whatever needed to be done. And it was a 40-acre farm. So there were livestock, there was cattle and sheep and all this stuff. Um, and it was so idyllic. Like at that, I think back on that childhood as being like, I couldn't imagine. Like I look at my kid and she's like, she just doesn't have that sort of outlet for being
Creativity.
outside. And yeah, exactly, like problem solving. My grandfather never called any kind of repairman ever, and I was always
Right.
like, how do you know how to do this? He's like, well, some of it I've learned from other people, and some of it
You
I
screw
just
it up
figure
till you
out.
get it right.
Right, exactly.
Oh.
The wall falls over, you put up a new wall, like it's
Mm.
like, okay. So that's that self-reliance
Well,
and problem solving. I think that's why I gravitated towards computers so much, because it was
yeah.
like I love a challenge. I love to fix something.
Well, when I was a kid, from the time I was 6 to like the time I was 14 or whatever, I never spent any time at home.
Hmm.
I was
Okay.
always out on my bike over at a friend's house, running
Right.
around, riding around, outside, never
Yeah.
home. I had my limits, I wasn't allowed to cross
Sure.
certain streets. Um, I had to be home when the lights came on, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, I know people that have had CPS called on them because their kid was across the street at the park by themselves.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know.
You can't let your kid go and do shit anymore without somebody getting called
Yep.
and potentially getting your kids taken away.
And there's a certain shame. The shame of that is that freedom that you feel as a kid, and like I think that builds so much of your character of like, because you run into problems, or you have, little things come up, or you have to be creative. You have to think of like, what am I going to do? Like I have my bike.
What's the responsible thing to do here?
Right. Well, and just like my friends and I would go for years, like BMX was a big thing, and so we would go build jumps, or just dumb stuff, but like we'd spend the whole day doing it and come home filthy and tired and hungry, and like you take a bath, you eat, you go to bed, and you do it again. And it's funny because as an adult, my daughter's summer vacations are so short in my mind because they're like less than 3 months, but as a kid, I remember that time feeling like it was endless, like summer just lasted. And you think it's only 90 days, that wasn't even that
Right.
much. And but I think it's because you had that whole day to yourself. Like I would just, like you said, I would literally leave, and my mom roughly knew where I was, or I was on the farm. Either I was home or on the. Go ahead.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad we didn't go then. You can keep talking if you want to.
Oh, I just excuse me. I figured you were listening. So. What was the shortcut to get out of here?
No, not that I can think of. I'm just hanging out on my stream. Yeah, I miss you.
I have to look up how to get out of full screen mode in a Spice viewer.
All right, I love you. It means we don't go for like a week or two. Okay. I love you too. I'll see you when you get home. But no, a new HEB opened up like a couple of blocks away from where we normally go shopping,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife was out and about driving around. Had to pick up a couple of things, and she was like, "The new HEB has a line out the door, and they're like having overflow parking at the stadium across the way." And it's like, yeah, we're not going there for a couple of weeks. I'm
Yeah,
not going there until that dies down. That's for sure.
yeah, I hear you. It is amazing, like if people can get the hype,
Hmm.
it's
Well, it's also like right across the street from a Kroger, so I'm hoping
oh
that it will kind of force the prices down a little bit.
yeah.
But HEB is also kind of limited on what they sell because they only sell things, from Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that happened when the Walmart markets started opening. You saw like the competition. There's also now a new wave of so you know how the established grocers will open a new store, but then their old store is just sitting there vacant. There's this like new class of groceries, at least coming in here, that are kind of serving the Latino Hispanic market.
Hmm.
But that's I mean it's not like they're exclusive or anything, but
Right,
they have everything in English and Spanish, which most stuff already is anyway, but they seem to be like more focused on, and like they're in those neighborhoods and stuff. But anyway, so they've now come in and they have a lot of the same products, but at more competitive prices. So like we have Publix here, and Publix is really pushing the boundary of like they're starting to hit like Whole Foods territory in some of their prices. It's just too much. And so I go to that store and like their produce is stupid expensive. It's like I'm not paying $3 a pepper. What are you, stupid?
that's a
Like,
big nope.
and so there's just a lot of that kind of thing, where they have to be more competitive, but for some reason they must have lots of profit on certain things, and then just figure, well, the rest of it we're not going to worry about competing.
They don't
I
want
don't
to be
know.
competitive. They want to be exclusive.
I guess. Um, but yeah, so that's why when I end up shopping around so much. Like I get my prescriptions there, and I go for they have certain products that like other groceries don't have, but by and large, I really don't shop for a lot of stuff there anymore.
Well, yeah, we go to Kroger, but we only go to Kroger for one thing, and sometimes we will also pick up anything that's on clearance. But their 12 packs of the store brand soda are like $3 each, and
Hmm,
that's really
nice.
good compared to like trying to buy Pepsi or something like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, name brand soda is crazy. Um, I tend to drink a lot of like iced tea and stuff like that, because you can control how much sugar's in it, stuff like that.
Well, we buy the
And
zero sugar everything.
oh, okay. Um, so yeah, I will. Um, I just I don't know. I price shop on everything, and it isn't even like. I mean, I could pay the money, but why would I want to? And like, I have friends that only shop at the name brand grocery stores, and they don't keep leftovers, and they're like really sloppy about just like how much they pay for food and stuff. And I mean, yeah, they're not gonna lose their house over it or something, but I always just think to myself like, you're spending hundreds of extra dollars a month on stuff if you just put in a little effort. Buy it when it's on sale. Like I do a lot of stuff when it's on BOGO.
Yeah,
Um,
or
so.
clearance. A lot of the stuff
Hmm.
we the single serving peanut butter things, because my son's on a weight gain diet. He's supposed to be gaining weight. The single
Gotcha.
serving like Jif peanut butter things where you get like 4 or 6 of them together all at once. We found like 30 of them, but they were $1 each because they were on clearance. So we bought all
Gotcha.
of them to feed to him because he's a teenager and he's supposed to be putting on weight. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But that's the type of thing we do. If we find like granola bars that are on clearance, we but if they're actually on clearance, that's one thing about Walmart. A lot of times their clearance isn't all that clearancey. So if we find it and it's a really good clearance price, yeah, we will buy it out just so we don't have to buy anything more for a couple of months.
Gotcha. Hmm.
And then a lot of times we will also, instead of going in and checking for the clearances, what we'll do is we'll just buy all our stuff online so we're not tempted to um, spontaneous shop.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a killer.
Yeah. I'm
Yep.
sorry, I interrupted you a couple of times there. My bad.
No, I'm potato chipping anyway. I'm like working on something in the background, so
Yeah.
don't feel bad.
I was working on cleaning my garage here. It's starting to drive me nuts. I'm starting to get that twitch.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
too much stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's starting to get to be a problem, but just too much of a mess right now. And it's like I need to organize this, I need to organize that. I just bought a
Yeah.
sound bar for like at the ACO for really cheap, and I need
Oh nice. I'd
proper
love to
space
have
to
one of
set that up.
those.
Well, the sound from my TV is just hot garbage.
Yeah, mine too. Trust me.
Hot. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
awful.
yeah, and me and my wife like to watch different YouTube stuff out here in the garage. So, spending $20 on a really nice Vizio soundbar
Mm-hmm.
seemed like a good investment.
Right.
And it works, and now I just have to have a proper place to put it so that the sound goes where it's supposed to. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to 3D design and print a mount for the top of the TV because that's the only place that there's really any space. But the
Gotcha.
rest of everything else is kind of taking over anyway, so it's time to clean up.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we get like that sometimes. It's just like stuff ends up uh, taking up too much space, and it's like I don't want to. I try not to be too critical, but there's times where I just like have to be, like come on, we've we're sort of pushing
Dude,
the limits of. Well, so my my wife and daughter have that sort of goldfish problem where if they have the space, they sort of grow into it, and so there are times where it's just like, what is this? Why is this here? Do we
do
need
you
more of
ever
it?
use this?
Well, my rule of thumb I try to do is if there's no space for it, then you don't need it. And if you really want it, you'll make space for it. It's as simple as that in my mind, where it's just like, you don't have room for it, but if you really want it and it's really that important, then get rid of something.
Oh
You
yeah, yeah.
can't just keep putting more stuff
No,
in the
I
house.
told my wife that she is not allowed to get any furniture unless she gets rid of furniture. So
Yeah.
it's dead man's boots on the furniture. You cannot have more furniture unless you find a space for it by getting rid of furniture.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, my wife is good at finding things,
Oh yeah,
and I give her tons of credit because
oh
people
yeah.
throw away the most ridiculous things, and I think of some of the best products we've had in our house. We had a 30 CD changer forever. And we still have it, but we don't use it as a no, actually it did die. That's right. We had it for probably 20 years. And she found it. Someone was throwing it away. She brought it home. I'm like, what's wrong with it? I mean, we were in like our early 20s when like a 30 CD changer was expensive. Like it was
Right.
a thing. And yeah, there was nothing wrong with it. It had lots of inputs and outputs on the back, and it was a whole system. Those mini systems, and yeah, it was perfectly fine.
I live in a very affluent area. Not saying that I'm affluent because I'm not, but I live in an affluent area, and they get rid of things. I mean, I have
They
two
do.
46-inch TVs in my garage that I use as computer monitors. That I got both of them for free that people were giving away on Facebook Marketplace. And
Yep.
then I have my couch in the living room was a very lovely, sturdy, like oak sides, and then it's got the cushions and everything couch
Mm-hmm.
that was hardly used that somebody was just like getting rid of because they were redoing their living room. And they're like, I don't need
Right.
this. So I
Yeah.
just picked it up and it was mine. I got the Bowflex Extreme, which is, like, I don't know, $1,000 on Amazon or something crazy like that. I got it for
Yep.
free. Um, People just giving stuff away. I got what is it, a 65-inch TV inside, and the price isn't as good now. But when I got it, it was an absolutely incredible price. I got it for $200 from the ACO because somebody
Mm.
just donated it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and this was 6 years ago when TVs that size were actually expensive.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Well, and it's probably one that you actually want that doesn't have all that weird software on it.
it actually does, but I bypassed all that. So,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane the things that people just get rid of, and it's like, why?
Yeah. Yep. I complete. It always blows my mind, and like I think part of it is they just they don't have the time to. So a good example is my
They don't understand the
in-laws.
value of things
Well,
here.
that is part of it. Like they have so much that one thing like that is valuable to everyone else. To them, they just don't see the value of it. But like, so my in-laws were redoing their family room, and they had these very specific, very odd, like um specific, like they were like recliners, but they had these like bent uh wood, like it was obviously like real good furniture, and it was some from a manufacturer that like people who know furniture and know this manufacturer. And so um they had a big area rug, they had those two chairs, they had some sort of table, and they didn't want to deal with it. They just said, we're gonna just go either put it at the curb or give it to Goodwill or whatever. And she's like, no, 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 wait a minute, that stuff's worth money, like actual money. Let me sell it and we'll split it. And they're like, okay, fine. And so she ended up making like $1,500 off of selling that stuff because it was really expensive stuff. They just didn't want it anymore,
Yeah,
and they were willing to just give it away because to them, what do they care if it's a couple $1,000? Like it's nothing, you know. It's not worth their time, I guess, is the way that they see it. It's just like,
yeah. Well,
um,
I've had people ask me if it's worth my time to repair the things that I repair, and it's you could be doing something better with your time or making money with your time. And it's like, I'm repairing this stuff so I can continue using it. So I am making money by
right.
not spending money.
Well, not only that, you enjoy doing it.
Oh, I love doing it.
Just to some degree, it's just what you would like to do anyway. And yeah, it's the same syndrome of like taking your toys apart when you're a kid. You want to see what's inside there and like how's it made, um,
Right.
and then the idea, the satisfaction of fixing something for yourself. I read a post this morning. on the Linux Mint group in Reddit where a guy was like, "Yeah, I just took an old laptop that I was going to get rid of, and before I got rid of it, I just thought, well, I'll just throw Linux on here and see what it's like." And he's like, "I can't believe how well Mint runs on this old computer," and it's like, duh, you know?
Some of those fixes are and the things that you do, and it's like I can't get this, I can't get this, and you're super frustrated, and you finally get it. It's like it's
Yeah,
better than getting high.
I agree with you. Yeah, and it's the being being self-sufficient, and not everything is just immediately garbage, right? You know, if it either doesn't have a use in your life, or it just doesn't work the way you think it would, or you can't fix it. Like, I don't think 90% of people can change a tire anymore, or
Oh my god!
you know, the basic like things in life, like, you know, they don't know how to fix stuff in their house, they don't know how to fix stuff
It,
in their cars, or like it's just around them, like,
it
you know.
drives me nuts when someone doesn't know how to. Now, I can understand paying someone to change your oil. I can understand paying someone to, fix your tire. But it drives me nuts that people can't do it
Right.
themselves.
Right. It's that they literally don't possess the knowledge. Not only don't they possess it, they don't want to know.
And they won't take the 15 minutes it takes to go onto YouTube and figure
And
it out.
figure it out.
Like I didn't, I had never done a radiator flush up until a couple of months ago, and it's just because it's not something that ever really came up. You
Right.
add more fluid in when it gets low. I needed to do a full-on radiator flush. So what did
Yeah.
I do? Looked up my vehicle year, make, and model, and
Yeah.
found where the plug was, and found out the proper way to do a flush, and I went out and did it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, YouTube is amazing for that stuff. I
Oh
have,
yeah.
and not just, you know, car, I mean, literally everything you can think of, somebody has a video of it. A plumber has put up a video of something, an electrician has put up a video of something, yeah, an auto mechanic, like, they're all the knowledge you could want for that type of stuff just exists, and it's the matter of like, but it's also true that there are just some people that are not handy,
Right.
and they just, you know, for whatever reason, like,
Well,
they can't understand systems, they can't understand, like, you know, you could explain in the simplest details that you could think of how to change an oil filter, and
and
to
their
them they're
brain
just
just
like,
shuts off like 10 seconds into it.
they're like, I don't get it. And like, well, what don't you get? It's threaded. You're screwing it off, and then you're gonna put some oil on around the rim so that the gasket is, you know, got some oil on it and will seal properly, and then you're gonna screw it back on. Like, it's that easy. Now it may be hard to get to because the manufacturer's an asshole and they put it
Right.
in the hardest possible place.
Yep.
Oh God. Um, but yeah,
But it's because they don't want to. And when I have enough money, I tend to prefer to not be my own mechanic on my car. But
yeah,
when I am broke, guess who's out there turning the wrench?
right. Well, and I used to do a lot of that stuff myself before cars became certain things. Now I just
Oh
don't.
yeah,
But like, because of all the sensors and the hell, the airbags and everything else, that's, you know,
I
I
can
just,
understand a carburetor, but
right. Yeah, but I, like, when I was young, I used to have so my first car was a 72 Olds Cutlass, where literally I could get under the hood and sit with the
right
engine,
next to
see
the engine,
everything.
like stick your head up between
Yes.
the engine and the side.
Yes.
Yes, I am familiar with that type
Exactly.
of vehicle. My first car
Exactly.
was a 1968 Plymouth Fury 3.
Love it. There you go. So in that car, you know, well, that car required more maintenance than a modern car anyway. It had to do points and condensers and plugs and wires and belts and hoses and
Upper timings
uh,
and
yeah, like, exactly. You had to do a little of effort, but you know, that stuff was pretty easy to do because it's sort of mechanical stuff versus electronic.
you can
You know what I
picture it
mean?
all in your head.
Right. Everything was logical because it was a system that connected to another system that connected to another system. There was no nothing esoteric like a computer that was just sort of, doing something in a black box that you didn't quite understand. Everything
Right.
made sense, and and then I had a 78 BMW 320i, same way. That thing was points and condensers and distributor cap and blah blah blah. Um,
1978 Gran Torino Elite.
Beautiful. And then I had a I want to say like an 84 or an 85 uh, Chevy. Uh, oh hell, what was that thing? Oh, I can't think of it right now. It's gonna drive me
But
crazy.
the easiest thing I ever had to work on had to be a 1978 Chevy Blazer.
Oh yeah,
Well, just because of the amount of space you had to work with
sure,
and how
sure.
easy it was to get under it, and
Yeah.
all the components are really large and really well spaced apart. So I
Mm.
really liked my Blazer back in the day.
Well, and that's a type of vehicle that really you can just, as things go, you can change things, and then it just keeps running. I mean,
Yeah.
eventually, yeah, you'll have to do something about the engine and the transmission, but like for the most part, all the outboard stuff, any of the steering,
Oh,
stuff, any of
back when
it,
I had
it,
it, a 350 motor you could get for like $100
right,
and rebuild it if you needed to.
right,
A rebuild kit probably cost you another $100.
yeah, yeah, and it wasn't really all that hard to do because there weren't all the electronics and everything on. There
Right.
wasn't any fuel injection or rails and all that like nonsense to deal with. But um, you know, yeah. And I actually I had talk about satisfaction. I felt so much satisfaction from a brake job or just doing stuff that I ended up, especially as a young person without a lot of money, like I would save a lot of money and I learned a lot of stuff. So Beretta, Chevy Beretta, that's what
Oh, I had a
I had.
Beretta. Oh, I loved it.
I liked that car. I thought it was a nice car. It's comfortable, the bucket seats and everything. Um, I had one. I had a carload of friends, and the serpentine belt decided to blow on me, and it did so in a catastrophic and just fantastic, like smoke, yellow smoke everywhere. Like everyone's like, "What the hell's going? Is the car gonna explode?" Like it smells like rubber. It's not the engine. It's not oil. And yeah, it was the belt just. Oh no, no, it was because the alternator went, and then the belt because
Right,
the alternator
seized because
locked.
the alternator went. Yeah,
Yep.
I can't tell
Uh,
you the number of alternators I've changed or starters I've changed.
yeah. Yep.
But
But
yeah,
that
go,
stuff was pretty. You went to the parts store, you got the part, or you went to the junk yard and pulled apart. That was actually my favorite, and yeah, like, and then it got to the point where like I remember I got another BMW 325 that didn't even have an oil dipstick. I got it, and I'm got it. I didn't even think about looking at that part of it. So I got home and I'm like looking around, and I'm like, am I crazy? Like, there's literally no dipstick. That can't be right. And then and I looked, and it's like, nope. There's a sensor, and you can check the level from the dash. You change. There's a setting on the dash. You just go through, and it'll show you the level. I'm like, yeah, but what if the sensor doesn't work?
right.
Like, that's stupid. But that's the same mentality as a sealed transmission, where you don't ever have to change the fluid in the transmission.
Uh huh.
Really, really.
Uh huh.
Sure, you're
No,
not just
but
trying to sell me a new car.
when I was a teenager, after I got back from foster care and was living with my parents again, so like 14 onwards, my dad had gotten out of the military and he was a mechanic. And he had a deal with a guy that owned the junkyard, like right up the street from the shop that he worked at. And so people would essentially write off cars for insurance purposes, and they'd be junk. And then he would get them, and he would fix them up, and then he would give them to me, once they were running, and then I would have to keep them running.
Hmm.
So yeah, and the time you get broke, it's not the best thing in the world to go and get an alternator from a junkyard, but it can be a whole lot cheaper than walking into a parts store and getting one. And as long
And
as you're willing to turn the wrench yourself in the junkyard, those guys will give you a deal.
and I'll tell you what too, I've had parts that I pulled from a junk car that lasted longer than brand new parts. It depends on the manufacturer of the part. Sometimes the OEM stuff, a OEM from junkyard was better than a new third party, aftermarket.
Mhm.
It just depended on what the part was. And
I've gotten bumpers, I've gotten hoods, I've gotten doors,
headlights, yeah, what the hell? Carpets,
alternators, starters,
seats.
seats. Yeah.
Yeah. Why,
Uh,
why would you pay? Why? There's a car in a junkyard with a perfectly good seat in it that's going to be like $50 or less. Like, why would you spend $400 on a new seat? It just doesn't make any sense.
right. And then he also, because he was a mechanic and worked at a shop, he also knew all of the like the guys that made windows, like windshields.
Mm. Oh, okay.
So we used to be able to get what they would call blems, and essentially what, like where you put the seal on, there'd be a little chip or a nick or something, and that would make
Hmm.
the window like a fifth of the windshield, a fifth of the price of a windshield. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Glass is not cheap. That's for
yeah,
sure. And
yeah.
unfortunately, there's always seems like you end up breaking glass like right after you replace it with. Yeah, I had a car where I had to get three different windshields over the period of like 9 months.
Ugh.
And it was nothing to do with what I was doing. It just happened to be that um, you know, bad bad luck. I was in an area where there was a lot of trucking, a lot of like heavy construction trucking where they were hauling a lot of earth and stuff like that.
Mm.
And like you do your best not to get stuck behind one of those guys on the highway, but like what are you gonna do? And
Yeah,
so
throw up a rock and bam.
that was it. And I had one. It literally lasted like a couple weeks. I was so mad.
Oh yeah.
Because glass is tough, like to get it, seat situated and put it in place and like it hold it in the
I
right
would
way.
definitely prefer to pay somebody to do that than do it
Yeah.
myself.
They actually have a law here in Florida about your insurance company has to cover uh, basic like the installation of the glass. Like it has to be uh, covered, and it's a certain cost. Like it can only cost so much, even if you've got like speed sensors and all that modern crap on your windshield.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, my wife had to get a windshield not too long ago, and it was. It turned out the guy she went to was a little bit of a sleaze bag. Like he submitted a really crazy um, bill to the insurance company for it,
Hmm.
and like borderline fraudulent. Like it was pretty bad. And they came to us, and it's like, why is this guy charging you like $1,600 for a windshield? Like, I don't know. It should be like a $300 windshield. I don't understand. So, yeah, they had to fight it out. Apparently, he was trying to pad the bill or something. But
Yeah. Well, like one time, I got into a car accident. I got rear-ended at a yield sign, and my back end was just screwed on my car. And I was actually pretty young at the time and didn't know any better. But I got a phone call from a repair shop saying that they were with my insurance company, and was it okay for them to take my car, and they were going to work on it, and it was only placed at the insurance, going through my insurance company, and it was all set up, blah blah blah. And it turns out that it was a bit of a scam. I mean, they did fix my car, but they had nothing to do with my insurance company other than to bill my insurance company after the work was done. And the messed up thing is like they were on the complete other side of the mountain in the town that we in El Paso. So the accident happened on the west side. It got evaluated on the west side, and then this shop was like, we're just gonna take this car and work on it and bill the insurance. And then they kept it on the east side, and they have my car and they want me to come pick it up, and it's like, you're on the other side of the mountain. What the hell do you want me to do?
Right.
Hitchhike?
How am I supposed to get there? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, my last wreck, I've only had two in my life, but the first one was when I was like, it was that Beretta, actually. Some girl in a minivan totally blew through. I had the green to make a left, and she blew through her light and just T-boned me. Um, I, I scared her because I was a young man full of testosterone, and
Right.
I really liked that car.
You jumped out of the
And
car and you had that look on your face.
I had that look, and I kicked my tire, and I said, "God damn it!" And I was just like so angry, not at her, but at just the situation. You know what I mean? And I was also amped up because she had spun me around, and like the
You
jolt of it
just
and everything.
survived, a car crash.
Right, right. And so she was kind of like in her car looking at me, and I'm like, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm sorry. I'm just angry. It's not your fault. Like, I calmed down, but it was just, it was
Well,
funny because she had this look like, am I gonna die?
when I got rear-ended, I had my wife in the car, and I had a friend whose husband was deployed, and she was very pregnant. So let's say when I stepped out of my car, I was also a little bit warm. I went up to that guy's window and he just started apologizing right away, and that just kind of told me that I really needed to calm down.
Yeah, yeah,
Because evidently I'm good at the angry face.
yeah. Well, the being tall, so I was tall and I had a little bit of farm boy in me, so I had a little bit of weight, but I don't think I was ever, I used to, so uh, at work one time, someone told another person that, so I was friends with one girl who was
Computer,
talking
turn
to
on
some
switch
other
one.
girl, and she had mentioned that she was like afraid of
Okay.
me because I have a deep voice and I'm tall, and like, and I was like, that's so silly. Like, I am the nicest person. Like, I never get really angry, and anyone who claims to have seen me angry has never actually seen me angry because like you wouldn't forget it. But like, I just always thought that was the funniest thing, just because I guess to a small person,
Yeah.
because I'm a big person, like, and you know, I don't know.
I'm 5'11", and when I graduated from high school, it's about 175 pounds. Now, for most of the world, that's not really all that small. But
Right.
when you grow up around Iowa farm boys,
Yeah, right.
that's
Yeah,
not big.
right, right. Yeah, I hear you. Well, that was me. I was the not. I mean, I wasn't corn fed like those boys, but I was
Right.
definitely used to slinging bales of hay around and that kind of stuff. And um, anyway, yeah. But yeah, that wreck was no fun. I mean, no wreck's ever fun. And then the last one I was in, there was a cop wanting to turn left. He was in the other direction, and he wanted to turn left through this intersection. So I stopped. He had his lights on. I mean, it wasn't optional that I stopped. Like, he wanted to come through.
Mm.
The person next to me stopped. The guy behind me didn't stop,
Right.
and he hit me going probably about 45 miles an hour. Lifted my the rear end of my car off the ground by about 2 feet, and slammed me back down. The whole back end of my car was completely crushed in, and the car still drove, though, believe it or not, which I was very impressed by.
Mm.
Uh, Take a hit at 45 from a SUV and still.
Well, I hope you like it.
I do. That's what I was. Remember how I told you I was looking for
Ooh. Nice. I like the skulls.
Yeah.
Oh, and the insects.
I
That's
don't think
awesome.
you saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the moth. Skulls and moths. Good combo.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's spiders on there too.
Yeah.
And roses. And my wife really wanted it, so
It's okay.
You might as well tell me what the problem is.
well, the thing around here is like all your Halloween stuff is because you know inflation and people are having a hard time making ends meet. Is that people will go to all the stores and buy up like all the Halloween stuff like that,
The cool shit.
all the cool stuff, all the really cool stuff, and
Yeah.
then they will turn around and sell it at like a 10x markup.
I hate that. Yep.
And
They do that. They do that with kids' toys too at
absolutely,
Christmas and stuff.
yeah.
Hate that.
And they create the demand by being the only one that has any of this item. And
Yep.
they don't just do it with like the Halloween stuff, because if you look at like the skinny syrups, I really like the peanut butter flavored skinny syrup. And there's several stores that get them in stock all the time, like TJ Maxx or Ross or places like that.
Yeah.
We have literally gone in and asked about it, and we will be told that a person just walked out with 20 of them.
Yeah, that's where they should limit that kind of stuff. Like they just shouldn't let people buy that many. I know it's stupid because it's a store and they want to sell their products, but at the same time, like it's kind of obvious that nobody's buying 20 for personal use, you know.
But they do it with the reasonable price, like Halloween, Christmas.
Here. Talk to. I have to
I can
pee
hear
anyway.
So like he was telling you, it's like this they come out once a year. They do a couple of Halloween items.
Yeah, it's
And
killer. I like it.
And it's an artisan thing. And
Yeah.
right now, I was lucky to find them, but normally they're around $20 to $25. But they're a good. They survive. This is just I wanted one, and they had sold out last year. And so I've been looking for the last 3 months, and everybody that's had them, none of the stores have had them, but people have had them online, and they're going for $150.
Get out of here. 100. That's ridiculous. Like if it was 30, you know, okay, you got 10 for your, you know, your scalping, you know, whatever, but like 150 is just. But I guess it's what the market will pay. If some idiot's willing to pay them $150, then, you know.
Well, like, okay, so these are the outlet stores, so they're already at a lower cost anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's still $25, but again, I'm not paying $150 for a Hydro Flask. I had wanted one last year, and they had sold out, and I also was kind of didn't want to get this. My daughter ended up getting the big water bottle.
Okay.
Of it, and I didn't want to have the same pattern as her, so she wouldn't walk off with it. It magically happens, and I would like to actually keep a water bottle.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, my daughter and I got, these are just junk, no-name steel bottles. We got them at the same time, and mine is in, you know, it's a little scuffed and whatever. Hers looks like it got run over by a truck.
Well, I love this brand. It's called Hydro Flask.
Okay.
Or Hydro Peak. And we actually have the hard water bottles, and the colored ones are not that hard to find, and we picked them up. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, it just made a noise, I think. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's
Battery cell.
we pick them up for like at the end of because they put them out right at school time. These sometimes last. We're talking like 2 years plus.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, maybe I'll get one for my daughter then, because she beats the hell out of hers. Yeah. Okay, that's nice.
$6.
Yeah, and have the.
Yeah, we paid $6 for them, brand new.
Nice.
It survives the teenager.
We
Is it like a Ross
thing
or a Michaels
each.
or?
Like Ross, Burlington, TJ Maxx, Walmart has them. The Halloween ones tend to be the outlet stores, but the colored ones are over at Walmart, and you just wait till like the week after school starts around here, and then you can pick them up for like half or even a third of the price.
We pick those up new at ACO.
Yeah, I have a cousin who's into Yeti. Like that's just his thing, and he bought this for me, I would never pay $40.
I was telling him earlier how we got
for
a
a mug.
couch, these TVs, the big TV
But yeah,
in the living room.
this thing is a tank. I've had it for years now, and like it's pretty much indestructible. And I mean, I can see why you would pay that much for it because it really is well built compared to a lot of stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't. And Tervis tumbler, that's another. They actually make these here near me, but these Tervis tumbler cups. I have cats that like to drink out of cups, and I hate it. I do not want an animal that licks itself drinking from my glass. So I've had Tervis tumblers for years, and those are pretty expensive too. But
Those end up broke so fast.
I don't know. I'm not hard on stuff. You know, I can keep something for years and not have it like be beat up. Like my daughter will have something for a month, and it's like, what did you do to this thing? Like, I don't know.
Well, the ones that Joe has and the kids have are the 64 ounce.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, my son takes it and ties it to his.
This is the 64
Yeah,
ounce. He has a 32 ounce.
Okay, and my son has a 32. But I mean, they tie them to their backpack. They take them all over public education system, and my daughters take them to the community college. They're a little scuffed, but I mean, not bad.
Yeah.
I had just wanted one of these because they fit in the cup. It has the cup holder one, and it's a 40 ounce drinkable with a lid.
Nice.
And since I'm always on the move, it's nice to be able to fit something in your cup holder.
That's the thing about the big ones. Yeah, they don't fit anywhere. You kind of have to shove them wherever they'll go. Sometimes the door pockets are big enough, depending on the vehicle, but yeah.
Well, I have a van. I have plenty of cup holders. It's just not big ones.
Well, nothing's going to fit that one that he just showed.
Well, he has, he attaches his to the car through, like, the hook, so it stays.
Okay. Gotcha.
Usually what we, the plastic ones, like your cup that you have for the cats, we lose the seals on them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, these do the same thing. You can actually get new lids, which I end up doing usually, like, every 12 to 18 months. I get a new lid. They get kind of gross too. For some reason, they have like a scale buildup, and you can't quite get them clean. But the main cup part seems to last for a really long time. But I like the design on yours. That's pretty awesome with the skulls and the moths and the flowers and stuff.
Well, my daughter has the white one.
Okay.
And so mine's the black one. So I can definitely say, don't please walk off with my water bottle. I need it.
Oh, it's white with the same pattern, but just in reverse.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, and it's also because it's also unique enough that if you take it somewhere, like you're gonna know that it's yours type of thing too. So.
And they're dishwasher safe, which is always nice.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. But it's like one of them. I saw a lady. I was checking out some of the Halloween stuff. I mean, out here, Halloween stuff is already going on clearance.
Oh wow. Okay.
And she walked off with 8 of the Jack the Pumpkin King and their Bluetooth speaker with that oil diffuser or aroma diffuser things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And she wanted all 8 of them. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to sell these for like $60 each. And she was paying $10 each.
And I don't necessarily have that. To me, that isn't like the person selling the mugs for 150. Like that's, that's just right place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of get upset when they take everything of the stock at one time.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Because the outlet stores get a limited number.
Right.
So, if you want to take half of them, I'm all for that. Leave some for the rest of us who would like to have some of the cool stuff, and we're looking for it too, but, I mean, everywhere's gone.
Yeah. Well, it just shows you really have to kind of go hunt around, and it can be annoying. But that's the only way to really find stuff is to go, like, look everywhere, and it makes for a long day sometimes, but, I don't do it as much as I used to, but, like, my wife and daughter will come back, and they'll throw in a day of that with going to, like, Bargain Barn at Goodwill, or Bargain Barn at Goodwill where you buy clothes by the pound. I love that.
Well, out here at the Goodwill, you really have to hunt, because they've kind of gone up in price. We don't have the bargain
big
bins.
Time. Big time. Yeah, their prices. So every year it started as a joke. Every year I get my wife $100 gift card to Goodwill, which really throws them off because like they didn't even most of the cashiers don't even know that they sell gift cards. So I go up and I'm like, I want a gift card for $100, and they're like, really? You know. So it always takes like an hour of them trying to figure out how to make it work. But anyway, it started as a joke, but now like she ends up using it throughout the year, and like it's actually really useful to her. And but yeah, they'll do like Goodwill, and we used to have really nice Salvation Armies, but they're closing them all. I don't understand why, but
Well, the Goodwill prices are compared to the Salvation Army out here. The Salvation Army charges like 5 to 10 times what Goodwill is. It's really
oh wow,
stupid pricing. It's
yeah,
whoever's in charge in our local ones.
okay,
There's no bargains. They're like, oh, they look it up what they can get on eBay and then they match that or the max
gotcha.
amount, and it's like, no, that's not the point of this.
Exactly. You're supposed to be
Why
selling
not
this
go
for
on eBay?
charity, not like yeah, I hear you. Yeah, well,
So
our
like
Goodwill
they
is the
had a
same.
pair of Vans that were a vintage pair of Vans. They were scuffed. They needed some love, and they
Yeah.
were wanting $200 for them at the Salvation Army.
Oh, come on.
It's like,
That's
no, that's
crazy.
not. Well,
Yeah.
you should also tell your wife to check out Goodwill has a boutique where all their high end stuff ends up online.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, my daughter's doing the they last trip was dresses because she was doing a dance. She's in 6th grade, so it was like first dance, and so she ended up getting a couple dresses, but that would have been nice to know about the boutique.
Well, that's
Um,
just their high end stuff. We have a couple of different thrifts, and I hit them all. Like I kind of rotate through
yeah.
them. We have a local one that only supports local projects. It's called the ACO,
Oh, nice.
and we tend to rotate through that one quite about. I hit it about once a week just to see what they have because every different days, different um, bargains.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, if you have a teenager like I do, and because he's really hard on jeans, he's at that stage
Hmm.
still. I
Mm-hmm.
like paying $4 a pair of nice jeans.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, jeans are clothing in general. Like stuff is it's not made of the same materials it used to be. Like I've been trying to find I have old t-shirts that, I guess would be considered vintage now just because I'm old, but like they're soft and they're the nice heavy cotton, but they're like a very soft, weave or whatever it is, and like I'll be damned if I can find those shirts that aren't like $100 a piece. I'm not paying $100 for a t-shirt. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna happen. So,
Well,
so
if
that
you
it's
like
just
the
weird.
comfort of the softness of them, check out a
Yeah.
jersey knit cotton.
Okay.
It's going to be thinner, but you'll still get that softness, and they'll hold up for a few years,
Well,
unless you have a
I'm in
teenager.
Florida, so I don't mind being thinner. So it's hot here, so that doesn't bother me.
Well,
But
okay, so I have my in-laws. I love them to death, but my sister-in-law has a thing for high-end purses, and she's willing to drop the money to buy them brand new. So
yeah,
I don't have that kind of money. I'm not
right.
dropping $350 a purse or more.
Yeah, yeah.
And my either are my mother-in-law or my grandmother-in-law. So I actually hunt the good high-end purses, and I hunt them through
Mm,
the thrift shopping, and that a lot of them people just haven't taken care of them, or they don't know how to take care of them.
gotcha.
So I'm doing spot cleaning, I'm doing leather repair, or I'm doing leather conditioning and cleaning them up, and it kind of upsets my sister-in-law a little bit that my in-laws now, or her, some of the other women have fancier purses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah. We have a
I try to find something that they would like, and then I'll buy a nice silk scarf. I'll make sure there's a nice wallet in it. So
that's nice. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
It's a really
I
nice
try to do
gift
them.
for. Yeah, yeah. That's a great gift, and like I mean, if you were to go buy that stuff new, you almost feel bad about doing it, unless it's a hobby. Like I swear, some people just like you mentioned the $200 sneakers. Like I never really knew that people collected sneakers, like that was a thing, and that they pay stupid amounts of money for like sneakers.
Oh Oh, you
I
should
never
check
knew
out
that.
the sneaker displays, though. God, some of those are sexy as hell for technology.
Well, I guess I guess if people can collect anything, right? I don't know. And if you don't know what you're looking at, and that's the thing about thrift stores, like you have to kind of understand what you're seeing and like know that it's worth what you're paying. And yeah, I just don't have that. My wife will see something, get all excited, and I'm like, "What is it? I don't even know what this is." And she's like, "No, trust me, look it up on your phone." So yeah,
Well,
it's
like,
fun.
I had to go hunting for my daughter recently. She's in the ASL program, and they're now
Okay.
doing a lot of presentations. But because they're both doing them on stage or on camera, they need to
Mm,
have fabrics that are not shiny, no texture. They need to be
gotcha.
at least 3/4 sleeve or full sleeve,
Mm,
and they can't affect the camera, and they need to balance the person's skin tone so people can see the facial expressions and the hands, because the hands go in front from like belly button up for their
okay.
and from shoulder to shoulder. That's their speaking area.
Okay. Okay.
Jesus Christ, do you realize how hard it is to find petite clothing that hits those markers? And then she
As
wasn't
you're
allowed to have.
explaining it, yeah.
Couldn't have pink. She couldn't have red. She couldn't have orange. She couldn't have yellow. And my daughter is so pale that black makes her look like the living dead. She is
Okay.
not a goth by any stretch of the imagination.
Unless that's the look she's going for. some,
No.
some, yeah. That well, as you were explaining it, I'm thinking, okay, well, what's left? Like, not very much in terms of like what colors you can get, or the fabrics, or the cuts, and like everything else. Yeah.
Well, I ended up going to the Goodwill over in Plano, and somebody had brought in a whole bunch of business dress shirts,
Oh, okay.
and they still had the tags on them.
Nice.
And they're these lovely silk full sleeve. There's no detail to the fabric. There's no detail to the shirt. The buttons are the same color as the shirt.
Okay.
And they're White House black market. And she's like, I love
Oh,
these
yeah.
shirts. I love these shirts. I need to buy more
Yeah.
of these shirts. And I'm like, we looked them up online and brand new. They're like $80 a shirt. And we're like, nope, that's not happening
Yeah.
today.
Yep. Until you can write it off
Tell
as
them
a
about the
business
suits.
expense, yeah, you're not going to be buying those.
Suits.
Oh
That's how
yeah.
I used to get away with like getting. I traveled and did a lot of stuff in front of customers. I did trade shows, I did presentations and stuff like that. And kind of, I wasn't limited like you're explaining, but I would still want nicer stuff, you know. And like I would spend the money on the clothing, but I would also then have it as a legitimate business expense. And so like I could claim it as being, you know, it wasn't like I was just, you know, buying stuff like that for no reason. So,
Well, I told her that she could do that when we can take off a certain percentage because it's needed for school, but not
right,
as much
right,
as if it's a business expense.
right.
And so I told her about that and everything, and then like you were talking about dresses, the local one, the ACO, has prom dresses and homecoming dresses, and they put them
Okay.
out, and some of them are used, some of them are new, and they always start off for the students at $9.99
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. You know,
because
it's
I
better
can't.
than having them just like sit. Um, I don't know if you have Leah or the hell is it called? Rialana. You ever
Mhm.
heard of that? So it's a consignment thing. My wife does it it's twice a year here, and she usually does it like because as my daughter grows out of stuff, uh, we either try to hand it down to. There's a few girls we know. Um, One is a cousin who's like 7 years behind, and so her mom will pick out the stuff that she really likes, like the better pieces of clothing. Like she'll pick out and say, "Well, I'll take that instead of consigning it."
Mhm.
But like, uh, but yeah, my wife will basically she consigns the stuff that we don't need, and then takes that money and buys stuff there mostly, and then yeah gets like better quality pieces, and then my daughter will wear that stuff throughout that season or that year, and then you know she just does that over and over.
Well, when we lived in El Paso, everybody under high school has a uniform.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same. Now the deal is it's khaki. Doesn't matter if it's short, skirt, skort, pair of pants.
Mm-hmm.
And all schools either have a white and navy, and then they have a third color that's really particular to their school, and it's always polo shirts.
Okay, yeah.
So everybody can buy white and navy, and then like our daughters went to Lincoln Middle School at the time, and they had to wear their extra color if we could find it was maroon polos.
Okay.
But the street that was a mile and a half away, the middle school that was a mile and a half away, their color was turquoise. Their extra color. So what they do is a week before school starts, you have to bring them in laundered, and they give you a ticket for every piece of clothing that you bring in. And anybody who brings in stuff can take those tickets and then pick out stuff that their kids are grown into.
Oh, that's awesome. Like an exchange. Yeah, okay.
And then locally, when we moved out here, we call it liberal people.
Okay.
And it's both males and females. We do a lot of nonprofit political stuff together, so we all know each other. We also have 4 times a year, we have the same idea where if you bring a table, we'll give you a ticket for every one item, and you can get anything. We take over a church parking lot.
Okay.
And you can go spend those tickets at anybody else's table.
Nice.
It's on the honor system. If you take something,
and then they
leave
can,
a ticket.
And people can bring tickets to your table and take your stuff, and so it's sort of
yeah, you don't even have to guard your stuff. It's not like you're guarding your stuff or anything. You can walk around looking for things, and it's clothing, houseware items. And then we have the Facebook page, which is called Give and Take.
Okay.
So if you're getting rid of something, and you can, or if you're searching for something, you can put it up there. Like tomorrow, me and Joe need to go pick up a Ninja fruit processor.
Ah, nice.
And I put up a bunch of business clothes that I can no longer wear. They're just too big. Okay. And I already had a lady come in. She was like, "Oh, perfect! I just needed new business clothes." And she was like, she already picked them up, or books show up, things that people aren't using, or they're like, if they don't want to wait for the 4 times a year.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it kind of gets disheartening sometimes. Joe and I were actually talking before you got home about my wife is really good at not necessarily dumpster diving, but just like finding things. Like he had mentioned, you live in a fairly affluent community where people just tend to throw stuff away for no rhyme or reason. And we have a lot of that here too, where she'll come home with something and I'm like, where did you get that? Some piece of furniture or something. Joe said there's a moratorium on furniture too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not, unless I'm willing to get rid of pieces, I'm not allowed to do pieces.
Yeah, that's what he said. Anyway, so she finds stuff and it's just like, why would they throw this away? I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, she found a bag of toys, literally a garbage bag full of like just toys. There was nothing wrong with them. They weren't filthy. They weren't gross. There was nothing. They weren't worn out. They were just toys, like, little cars and dolls and just stuff. And like both of us just hate waste. Like, we hate the idea that someone just throws something away and it's going to go to the landfill for no reason because there's still life in it. And so yeah, and it's like every trash day she goes cruising around, and it's amazing because she's made pretty decent money by just finding stuff. And like the furniture, she found these particular headboards that they're sort of rounded at the top, and then they have the supports have like balls every so often, and they have a woman's name, like Millie Sanders or some. I don't know what that's not it, but she's like, these are worth something. Like, collectors, furniture people, like they don't make them. They haven't made them in 100 years or 50 years or something. And Lily something. I don't remember. Anyway,
I'm not really up to date on furniture.
Well, so anyways, so she saw them and she knew what they were. They looked a little rough, they needed some work, but she's like, trust me, someone is going to pay me for these. She brought them home, and it took 2 or 3 months of putting them out there she uses OfferUp a lot. That's kind of her thing. She doesn't really like Facebook, so she uses OfferUp and Craigslist. And yeah, some woman was so happy to find them. Like she's like, these are so hard to find, and my family had them, and I've been wanting them for my daughters, and I can't find them anywhere. And so like she was all excited to find them, and I think my wife made like $200 or $300 on these things. It's just like, and somebody just threw them on the side of the road, and it just now she's so good at that kind of stuff. And I love the fact that instead of it going to waste, she not only saves it from being thrown away, but also makes a little bit of money for her time. I think that's really cool.
Well, the one
And there are
thing
lots of
about
people
toys,
that would just be like, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, on those toys, if they're the little handheld toys, you know who's always looking for those?
Probably like Toys for Tots or something, or can they only do like new stuff? Oh, teachers. Okay.
A lot of, especially special education teachers, elementary teachers, they have treasure baskets where students, when they have good behavior, they look for like the Happy Meal toys in good condition, Hot Wheels, odds and ends like that, but they need to be smaller, and they're always asking, especially special education teachers.
Gotcha.
So, and then children's hospitals, as long as they're clean and they still have the tags, we're looking for stuffed animals.
Yeah, my daughter has, she is a stuffed animal kid, and like literally has hundreds of them, and most of them were either gifts or stuff that they found secondhand or whatever. And the squishmallows in particular, if you know what those are, they're like little pillow creatures. She had to have like all 5 sizes of of certain ones, and but so now she has. Go ahead.
I was gonna say those squishmallows are actually the best stuffed animal if you would like to donate stuffed animals to children's hospitals.
Really?
Because of their stitching, there's no beads in them, and the eyes and everything, they hit all the safety requirements.
Oh, okay.
And because we do a fundraiser with our special education advocacy group, and because you can pick up squishmallows for about $5 at Five and Below, and then we donate those all back to the children's hospital, because you're talking littles can handle it. That's where you have the question all the way to teenagers and stuff. Everybody likes squishmallow.
Oh, I have a favorite. I actually. Oh, it's in the office. Yeah, I have one that it's probably not nice, but he's a good cushion. Sometimes I have a big one that they're just the right size, they're just the right density to be really comfortable sometimes to sit on. And my daughter was so mad at me because I got one specifically as a cushion, because in the car sometimes I need it.
And, oh, dude, I completely agree. They're perfect.
So, but she was just like mortified. She's like, "Well, what do you mean you're gonna sit on it?" I'm like, "Honey, it's basically a pillow." She's like, "It's not a pillow." This is when she was a little younger, and I'm just like, "Okay, I won't sit on him." And then when she wasn't with me. But
well, these are the ones that you get at the Five and Below, are the like 7.5, 8-inch ones.
Yeah.
And those suckers are wonderful for cars too, because you can stuff them into the right spot when you're.
Little lumbar support, yeah.
Or, you don't want to have the seatbelt rubbing, or it's a little hard right there. Dude, I am all about the squishmallow adding. It's not just an aesthetic; it adds comfort back to my car.
Yeah, most of them are really, really well made. So, like the design of them are really interesting and fun. She has a couple that are pretty ugly, but most of them I've always liked. There's a pink one called Fifi. That's the one that she's always loved, and she has the like monster size all the way down to like the 2-inch one. But yeah, so she's gotten to the point though now where she has like a lot of sort of extra stuff that we've been trying to slowly give away. She has a 5-year-old cousin that lives in 2,500 miles away, that we every so often ship a box to, and that kind of stuff. This time it was dollhouse stuff, so she has that's the other thing. She just has like a huge dollhouse and like buckets of clothing and all the stuff for it, and so she gave some of that away. But yeah, this transition of being like 11, 12 and trying to sort of going between being a little kid and sort of getting, so there's stuff that she's going to start getting rid of, but it's not junk, so we're going to try to give it to her cousin or Rialana or something. So
My squishmallow is I have Mothra.
Nice.
Joe gave me a Mothra because I absolutely love Godzilla kaiju movies, and Godzilla is one of my favorite. But I love how when they redid it, I love how they did Mothra, and so now I have a Mothra squishmallow that's
and the Godzilla
Aren't they making a new
like shit?
They're making the third part of that series.
Yeah, they're making a new one. Yeah, okay. And from what I saw, it was like it's still, they're trying not to overdo the special effects. I thought is what I heard, but I don't know.
I don't know much. I know that a lot of the actor and the writer's strike put a lot of stuff off, so I don't know where we're going with it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
And Joe was saying they have the Godzilla, they have the Metal Godzilla, they have Gordera, and then they have the pterodactyl one. They all have those as squishmallows too.
Right. I don't know how you do a pterodactyl. That would be interesting.
He has really weird wings.
Yeah, I would think like to take that shape and try to fit that into that.
And I give the kids the weird movie monsters.
Okay.
And we have them, and I've given them, and they're like the Yeti or the Loch Ness monster or Dracula or a werewolf.
Do they have a Bigfoot?
I haven't seen a Bigfoot, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
That would be an interesting one.
So I'm gonna hand you back to Joe now. I'm gonna eat my lunch.
Nice talking to you.
Make me some lunch in a minute.
Ooh.
Hey. It's getting late.
You didn't know we were gonna have a half-hour conversation, did you?
Yeah, well, that's cool. It's getting late and I'm getting hungry.
No, I know. I'm gonna jump too. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we accomplished something.
Yeah, we had a Saturday stream, which is the goal.
We definitely did that. So check that off the list.
Yep.
And anyway, well, it was nice. It was fun to talk to you. So, all right, man. Go enjoy your lunch, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yep, next Sunday. Or on Discord. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, take it easy.